It all began on a rainy afternoon, one of those slow, gray days when the world feels quiet and heavy, like it's holding its breath. In the sleepy forest town of Cedar Pines, nestled between tall pines and whispering rivers, lived a 12-year-old boy named Jake and his mother, Lily. Life had lost some of its color ever since Jake's father passed away the previous winter. Their home, a small wooden cabin just beyond the edge of the woods, felt more like a shadow of a once happy life. Jake, once cheerful and loud, had grown quiet. He spent most of his time wandering the forest trails alone, his backpack full of sketchbooks and old memories. That day, as the rain trickled through the leaves, Jake followed the familiar path to the riverbank. He liked how the water sounded, when it hit the rocks, like a song his father used to hum. But that afternoon, a different sound stopped him in his tracks. A soft, broken whimper coming from behind a fallen log. Curious, Jake stepped closer. What he saw made his heart clench. There, shivering under the log, was a dog. Mud-caked, ribs showing, one leg twisted at an odd angle. His fur was a dirty brown, soaked through, and his amber eyes were filled with fear and something else. Hope. Jake dropped to his knees. "Hey, buddy," he whispered, slowly removing his jacket. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." The dog didn't flinch. He just stared, as if trying to decide if he could trust this boy. Then, with great effort, he dragged himself forward into Jake's arms. And that's how they found each other. Two souls who had both lost something, clinging to a new beginning. Jake named him Bruno. Bruno became more than a pet. He became family. Lily was hesitant at first, unsure about bringing an injured stray into their fragile world. But Bruno's eyes, filled with quiet gratitude, melted her heart. Within days, it was as if he had always been there, waiting for his place in their lives. From that day forward, Jake and Bruno were inseparable. Wherever Jake went, Bruno followed. To school, to the lake, even to the little shed where Jake would try to play his father's old guitar. Bruno would curl up at Jake's feet, listening to the hesitant strumming, as if he understood every note. There was something special about Bruno. He never barked unless necessary, never demanded attention. But his presence was powerful. When Jake had nightmares, Bruno would nudge open his door and lay beside him. When Jake sat alone at lunch, Bruno waited outside the school gate, tail wagging. Bruno didn't just protect Jake, he healed him. That summer, everything began to feel a little brighter. Jake smiled more. He even joined a local music group. Lily watched with quiet relief as her son slowly came back to life, his spark returning with each wag of Bruno's tail. One warm evening, under a golden sky streaked with sunset, Jake and Bruno ventured into the woods for a late hike. It was their favorite spot, a quiet clearing surrounded by wildflowers with a fallen oak tree that served as Jake's stage. As the boy played a soft melody on his guitar, Bruno lay nearby, in the grass, ears twitching at every bird call, eyes half closed in peace. But suddenly, Bruno tensed. His nose twitched, his ears perked. He stood up slowly, staring into the shadows beyond the trees. A low, warning growl rumbled from his chest. Jake stopped playing. "Bruno," he said softly, confused. Then he saw it. Out of the tree line, silent and predatory, crept a mountain lion, muscles rippling, eyes locked on Jake. Its paws made no sound on the forest floor. It moved like liquid danger, slow and deliberate. Jake's breath caught in his throat. The guitar slipped from his hands. The lion crouched. Bruno stepped in front of Jake, body rigid, teeth bared. The beast lunged, and in that one, heart-stopping second, the loyal dog threw himself into the air, straight into the path of the oncoming predator, not to fight for himself, but to protect the boy he loved more than life itself. Time stopped the moment Bruno launched himself into the air. With a snarl that split the silence, Bruno collided mid-air with the mountain lion. The two animals crashed to the forest floor, in a tangle of fur, claws, and fury. The quiet evening shattered into chaos. Growls, yelps, the thud of paws hitting earth, the rustle of trampled grass. Jake stumbled backward, heart pounding so loudly it drowned out everything else. His legs refused to move. All he could see was Bruno, his beloved companion, standing between him and death. Bruno was smaller than the mountain lion by far, but in that moment, he fought like a giant. The lion swiped with one massive paw, catching Bruno across the side. A yelp tore from the dog's throat, but he didn't fall back. Instead, he lunged again, teeth clamping onto the predator's leg with fierce determination. Blood sprayed the air. The lion roared, furious and wounded, shaking its leg to throw Bruno off. But Bruno held on, growling through the pain. Jake wanted to help. He screamed, cried, threw a rock, but it bounced harmlessly off a tree. He was just a boy, and this was a battle of beasts. Bruno fought with everything he had. Every ounce of his strength, his loyalty, his love was poured into that fight. Each time the lion tried to circle toward Jake, Bruno would cut it off, snapping, biting, refusing to surrender. But he was slowing, bleeding, breathing harder. And then, just as the lion prepared for a final lunge, a gunshot rang through the trees. The mountain lion froze, its yellow eyes flashing. Then, with a snarl, it turned and vanished into the woods. From behind Jake, Lily emerged, mud on her shoes, breathless, holding the old rifle she hadn't touched since her husband passed. She had heard Jake scream, seen the abandoned guitar, and run faster than she thought possible. Jake collapsed beside Bruno, tears streaming down his face. His hands shook as he cradled the dog's battered head. "You saved me, Bruno. You saved my life." Bruno's eyes blinked slowly. His tail thumped once against the ground. The fight was over, but the war inside Jake's heart had just begun. The days that followed were heavy with silence and worry. Bruno lay on a blanket in their living room, surrounded by towels and love. The vet had done what he could, stitched the wounds, given medicine, but said gently, "He's hanging on by sheer will. If he survives, it'll be because he wants to." Jake never left his side. He read to him, sang to him, whispered stories of the adventures they'd still have. He promised they'd visit the lake again, that he'd play better songs on the guitar, that he'd never let him go. On the 5th morning, when hope was beginning to slip, Bruno stirred. He opened his eyes fully and licked Jake's hand. He had chosen to stay. The town called it a miracle. News of the loyal dog who fought off a mountain lion to protect his boy spread quickly. The local paper ran a front-page story. The mayor visited and pinned a ribbon on Bruno's collar. Children from Jake's school made cards. But Bruno didn't care about any of that. His medal sat untouched on the shelf. All he cared about was Jake. Years passed. Bruno's body grew slower, his muzzle turned gray, but his heart never aged. He still waited at the door each afternoon, still followed Jake to the woods, still curled up next to him when he played guitar. Only now, Jake's songs were stronger, more beautiful, full of gratitude. And then, one quiet night, when the moon hung softly over the cabin and Jake was reading beside him, Bruno let out a deep sigh and rested his head on Jake's lap. His breathing slowed. His tail wagged once, and then he was gone. Tears fell silently down Jake's face. He held Bruno close, whispering, "Thank you, buddy, for everything." They buried him beneath the old oak tree in the clearing. Their place. Jake carved a stone marker that read, "Bruno, loyal friend, fearless protector, forever loved." Jake never forgot what his dog did for him. And whenever someone asked how he became the man he was, Jake would smile and say, "It all started with a dog who gave me his heart and his courage." A loyal heart will fight, fall, and rise again, not for glory, but for love. True courage wears 4 paws and a wagging tail.